Hello everyone, my name is Craig and welcome back to You Got Nerfed and another Nerf review. Today is going to be over the Alpha Trooper CS18. This is the pre-elite version, right? Pretty fun. Let's get into the overview. Overview of the blaster starting up at the front. There is no end strike barrel lug. Even though this looks like a barrel lug, this is not a barrel lug, right? That will not securely go on. Lay bummer. Moving back is the priming handle. This is spring action pump action. To prime, you pull back, push forward, and you're ready to fire once, right? This blaster does have slam fire, which for pre-elite is pretty good. Slam fire meaning you hold down the trigger, and when the priming mechanism goes to the forward position, it'll fire like this. Slam fire works fairly well. It's not the latest greatest type of slam fire, but it works fine for what it is and actually performed better than I thought, even for a pre-elite blaster. I did buy this off of eBay, so it is used, which might factor into some things, but the slam fire actually working fairly well, even for a used blaster. I was blown away by that. The priming strength required to prime back is very, very light. I would say in line with other elite blasters. For something like a Recon, it's smoother than the Recon and not as gritty. Of course, this one is gritty because I bought it off of eBay, but this one feels pretty smooth, right? No really mechanical grit, and I can't really even tell that it's used just by the prime action. I personally, and I'm going to be one of those weirdos of Nerf, I actually don't really like prompt action. I prefer a top prime. That's personally me, right? I don't like doing this, right? I like my hand being close together, right? If there's something about security that it just feels like that there's something different about holding your hands together secure, maybe ready for an attack or something, or close to the priming, so you know that it's going to prime, right? Or you have your hand open for something. That's also why I like going pistol mode too, is because of just a lower profile, and I can also hold the blaster with one hand while doing something, right? Because I'm also a melee guy. I like using another hand for a melee weapon, right? So pump action, kind of new to me. I actually, in Nerf, I know I haven't had a whole lot of Nerf blasters. I haven't held a lot of pump action blasters before with that, which is probably why I don't like it. But I have held pump action like actual firearms, and I don't like it either. But that's just my personal opinion. Pump action, if you think of it objectively, is actually better than top prime because it's actually technically a faster prime than a top prime. But it works well, and it's fairly comfortable, not alienating to a large hand. You can get the whole thing on here, not alienated to somebody like me with a small hand. I have very small hands. This fits on very nicely, very comfortably on that. Getting back here is an access door. To open up that access door, prime the blaster, and then pull it back. I didn't have any jams or malfunctions, except for using crummy blasters. I know my Recon jammed because of a crummy blaster in the firing demo. I know about that. This one, I think, jammed once off screen because of a crummy dart, but in general, it did not have any jams or malfunctions because of the blaster, right? But you can get your finger in there, and you can just shut the access door, and then you're good to go, right? Getting back up here, there is an End Strike Tactical Rail. This is the only End Strike Tactical Rail on here. Serious lack of tactics in that part, but kind of expected for the old End Strike series. But you could mount something on there. The only real attachment I have is the Recon laser scope or laser sight thingy. You could put that on there. That's a little bit weird. Actually, that looks kind of tactical as fuck. If that was a... If you put like a scope on here, this would probably look like an SG553. Is it SSG or is it SG? I think it's SSG, like 553. Change up the stock a little bit, and then, yeah, you kind of get that profile out of it. At least I do. But yeah, there's an N-Strike Tactical Reel on there. Moving back to the stock, this is, I think, a standard N-Strike stock, but don't quote me on this because my Recon stock will not fit on here securely. But this is the included stock. It's kind of flimsy a little bit, but it's not as bad as a Recon stock, and it does fold. To fold it, you pull out, and then you can quickly flip that around like that, and you can fold that for storage or tactical deployment, just like that, right? And it locks in place. And if you don't want it, you have this standard orange button that you can pull and detach that. I personally wouldn't use this on any other blaster. I think the proportions are just weird, and it doesn't feel as secure as like even a Recon stock. But just to show you guys this, the Recon stock doesn't fully secure on here. I don't know if this is a normal N-Strike attachment point or if it's like a I'm thinking that it's proprietary. Maybe it's just the dimensions of the Recon stock. But also, if you look on this compared to something like a Recon one, this stock attachment point seems a little bit thinner from right here than what was on here. Maybe it's not designed for this specific stock, but this is all I have. So based off of the information on there, maybe it's not a normal stock. Whenever I do a re-review at the blaster, maybe I'll have a Retaliator or some other stock that I could test that with. So don't really take my word too much on that one, but that's what I did notice. So this is the included stock. You can put that on, of course, right like that. There's better options out there, but this isn't a horrible stock. And again, it's like the same thing. Actually, it's the same. Actually, it's a little bit longer than the Recon stock, but it doesn't make the blaster feel too big nor too small. This is pretty comfortable for somebody like me. I am 5'7". I'm a smaller dude. But this makes the blaster feel pretty comfortable by myself, even for a rifler. I'm more of a pistol, but if I need to go rifle, this is about the proportions that I prefer. Anything really longer or shorter than this, and I'd be like, yeah, right? Especially coming out of a rifle. But that's the stock. Not too much to complain about there. Getting to the grip, it's basically like all the other N-Strike old pre-elites grips. Not too big, but it's just looking a little bit big because I have small hands, but fairly comfortable. Nothing really to point out on that one. You do have that sling attachment point here at the bottom and that secret little dart storage thingy right there. So funny that they added that. I don't know why. But yeah, getting down to the trigger is smoother than something on a Recon, which surprised me even for something that is old. But the trigger feels nice. It reminds me of like a Retaliator trigger, and elite triggers is actually pretty impressive for something like that. Getting down to the magazine and the mag well, there is ambidextrous magazine release for full ambi bro to release the magazine, prime the blaster, strike the magazine release, and it can pull out. This is compatible with every magazine that I know of. I don't think that it's compatible with every single one of them, like the drum mags, I think, because I can see that there's even a little bit of wobble with this 6-round magazine here. This is not a smooth magwell by any chance, and this is, I think, personally worse than a Recon one, right? And also, if I go to just jam it in there, like, I have to focus on what I'm doing to put in the magazine in here, right? Because there's all these jammed edges and stuff. I don't like this magazine well at all. It's really gritty, it's really particular, and I don't think that it's fully cross-compatible with every single magazine. 6 rounds, 10, 12, 18-round magazines, they'll do fine. I don't know about the drum mags. I know the Recon definitely will take those, but the Alpha Trooper, I'm not sure. But I don't like this magazine well and how it fits. And yeah, this just gets me fits. As opposed to something which I do have my Recon here. I could... Yeah, of course, I was trying to intentionally, like, not go for it. But it fits in there well, right? And I could do this over and over, right? So if I'm not looking at it, I can do it. But whenever I'm doing this, right, I have to pay attention to it. and I find that a little bit annoying, right? But aside from that, it's all right, right? At least it takes the magazine and feeds very, very well for that. So that's pretty much all that I have to go over with this blaster, right? Let's see it out on the range and firing. All right, so just standard single fire with 18 round stick mag, firing old end strike dart, orange end strike darts. Now some slam fire. Now 4 blue elite darts. This is all I have. No slam fire. Okay. 4 blue Nerf elite darts slam fire. That was a horrible use of slam fire, but that basically came out to the same result. Getting into a little bit of a fun segment as well, I did this with the Recon, how I would personally run the Alpha Trooper CS18. If I had to use it in a Nerf war, which I would pretty much just use a Recon. But if I had to use it like this is about what I would use it is. Yes, it's its stock format. Actually, I wouldn't use this stock at all. I would probably be using something like a Recon stock. I know it's not on there securely, but it's on there securely enough, and I trust this stock enough. 18 round stick mag, because I'm going with that capacity, especially with slam fire. I'm not using 6 round magazines. And I'd probably throw on a snazzy attachment like that. Give it really that SSG or SG type vibe from here, right? Because that's really the vibe that it's given me here, right? So now I'm ready to slay any zombies or human threat that comes after me with pump action. And yeah, a pretty cool package. That's how I would personally be running an Alpha Trooper if I actually had to run this version in a Nerf war. Firing analysis and conclusion about the Alpha Trooper CS18. The firing performance out of this was actually a lot better than I expected, right? Now, I must note, again, while testing this blaster, I was using crummy darts. The guy that sent me this blaster on eBay gave me crappy darts. I had to throw out like 3/4 of the darts that he gave me because they were all bent to hell and like mangled. Like, come on, dude, right? I should have sort of expected that. But both of these darts technically fired about the same. Now, again, my elite darts are more mangled than my old end strike darts, but I did get better performance out of the old end strike darts than the elite darts, which is funny. I think if these were newer elite darts, the performance would have been better, if not about the same, right? I'm not going over the comparison of these every single time. Just note that these blue elite darts are better than the old orange end strike darts, even in the old end strike blasters, right? It actually technically overall, again, still factoring in, but also not factoring in the performance here, it fired a bit better than my Recon, actually, and that was surprising, especially the slam fire. The slam fire worked a lot better than I thought for something used. I also had to test that it did have slam fire because I thought this old Alpha Trooper, in the old End Strike series, I thought that it didn't have slam fire yet, but it does, and that's really, really good because I know every other incarnation of the Alpha Trooper does, which is really, really cool. And that actually worked fairly reliably. The velocity of this is similar to the Recon in about 56 feet per second. I think it might, if I were to judge by eye, and that's coming from other sources because I don't have a chronograph, so I'll also put in what I see from my eye. it actually seemed like it was actually shooting better than the Recon, which is very surprising. I don't know when this was released compared to the Recon. I feel like this was an early blaster in the series, but now comparing it to the Recon, I feel like this one was an earlier blaster than the Alpha Trooper. And it just looks, from the eye test, just seems like that it is a better blaster than the Recon for whatever reason. But it performed reliably. I think even with crummy darts, I was still impressed at how it did. Of course, you got a lot of darts that just farted out the barrel or didn't shoot as far or reliably, especially these crummy elite darts. But taking that aside, I think that it went well. So firing analysis, I'm fairly impressed with it. I didn't have any jams or malfunctions except for those occasional like crummy darts, which was a lot because I have a lot of crummy darts. We will be doing re-reviews of all of the blasters where we'll basically do this review again, but with more information and updated firing demos and all of that stuff. And I will have better darts by that time. That's not coming anytime soon, but just know it will be better at that time. So conclusion of this, I'd say there's really no objective reason to avoid it except for go get an elite Alpha Trooper. It has better velocity and better reliability out of this. But I would actually recommend this over a Recon if you're one of those people who want to actually have something reliable and probably hit what you're shooting at. Now, as far as accuracy, of course, waffle head darts are going to be the best. And anything non-pre-elite is going to be better than these blasters. But still, it's not bad if you're wanting to shoot across the house. And if you like this form factor and like pump action, and slam fire is a great addition to it. This is a powerful package right here, right? This is also, these two blasters are the staples of Nerf, right? This and a Jolt, of course. Every blaster is built off of that single shot Springer. So if you're liking single shot Springer magazine fed blasters, right, you go with the Recon, right, and like its performance. But if you also like Springers but pump action and want a more traditional rifle configuration, the Alpha Trooper is probably going to be a good choice for you. I think this runs for about the same amount as what the Recon does, but you don't get all that many attachments. You just get this stock and like an 18-round stick mag. But also, if you had some other 6-round magazines lying around, you could also throw those in there, and that's fine. I don't know why you would want the less capacity, but that's still fine if you had to do that. So, no objective reason to buy this in comparing it to other N-Strike blasters. But when you compare it to other Elite blasters, even Elite 2.0 outdoes this blaster. Some of them, right? And they certainly outdo this blaster as well. Some of them, right? But but there are better options, of course. Even the Elite is better than this. But if you had to use one of these blasters, this would be really, really fun to use, right? So no real objective reason really to buy a big, except for there's just better options out there. But it is much reliable than what I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be completely worse than the Recon or any other N-Strike blaster, and no, it actually kind of blew me away. So I hope that I laid down that information enough for you to make an educated purchase decision. Let me know what you think of this blaster in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.